All right, good afternoon, algebra class. What we're going to be doing today is, before we left on Friday, a couple of y'all asked if we could go back and do some review over multiplying polynomials. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to start just really basic with multiplying monomials times polynomials, different kind of polynomials, and then we'll progress to binomials times binomials and binomials times other polynomials and things like that. So what I want you to remember whenever you're doing that monomial times a polynomial, whether it be a binomial or a trinomial or just a polynomial, all you're using is the distributive property. So when you're looking at one like I'm seeing right there in number 1, where I have 6v times the quantity 2v plus 3, all we're doing is distributive property, just pure distributive property. The things you need to make sure of are that, number 1, you're distributing to everything in the parenthesis. You have to make sure that you give that 6v or whatever's outside that parenthesis to every single thing in that parenthesis. Then you also need to make sure that you are multiplying your exponents with your variables correctly, and pay attention to signs. You need to make sure that you're using your integer rules. So for example, in number 1, I'm multiplying 6v times the quantity 2v plus 3. So I'm just going to go and I'm going to do 6v times 2v. Well, 6 times 2 is going to give me 12. V times v is going to give me v squared. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to do 6v times that 3. And I'm going to get plus 18v. And I am done with that one. All we are doing when we're multiplying that monomial times any number of polynomials is we are just doing distributive property. That is all. You need to watch your signs, make sure you're distributing all the way, and watch your variables. So if you look at number 7, if you look at the next one, it has 7 times the quantity negative 5v minus 8. So I'm going to make sure that I pay attention to those negatives and I don't forget them. I'm going to make sure I distribute all the way. This time I don't have any variables that I'm multiplying, so that should not be an issue. So I'm going to multiply 7 times negative 5v, and that is going to give me negative 35v. And then I'm going to multiply 7 times negative 8, and that is going to give me negative 56. And that is all I am doing when I'm multiplying that monomial times another polynomial. Okay? You're just using distributive property. Okay? If we look at number 3, and we're multiplying 2x times the quantity negative 2x minus 3. This time we have a variable, so we're going to have to make sure that we are multiplying the variables correctly. We're going to make sure we pay attention to the signs, and we're going to make sure that we are distributing all the way. So I'm going to multiply 2x times negative 2x. A positive times a negative is going to give me a negative. The 2 times 2 is going to give me a 4. And then x times x is going to give me x squared. Then I'm going to multiply 2x times negative 3. And I would have a negative because it's a positive times a negative. And then 2x times 3 would just give me 6x. Okay? Distributive property, make sure you distribute all the way. Make sure that you pay attention to the exponents. Make sure that you pay attention to the signs. Okay? In the next one, I have a negative 4 times the quantity v plus 1. Once again, I don't have any variables in what I'm distributing. Negative 4 is just an integer. So I'm just going to multiply that negative 4. I don't have to worry about my variables. So I'm going to do negative 4 times v. and that's going to give me negative 4v. And then I'm going to multiply negative 4 times that positive 1, and I'm going to get negative 4. And that is just a review of multiplying monomials times polynomials. It is basically just distributive property. Make sure you distribute to the entire amount in parentheses. If there were 10,000 terms in that parenthesis, you would have to distribute it to all 10,000 terms. Make sure you follow the rules for exponents. Make sure you follow the rules for positives and negatives. Those are the little simple mistakes that we make that keep us from getting the problem correct. So we have to make sure that we follow those rules. The next thing, I just want to go back and just kind of do a little review. If you look at number 1, if I asked you for what the degree was, remember you look at the terms and you see the degree of each term. So like this has a 2, so its degree is 2. This one has a degree of 1. The degree of the polynomial is always the highest term, the degree of the highest term. So this is a 2. So the overall degree of this polynomial is 2. On this one, the only variable you have is v. When we don't see an exponent, we know that it's 1. And since that's the only degree, then that has to be the degree of the polynomial, so it's going to be 1. In problem number 3, we have a variable with an exponent of 2, so that term's degree would be 2. This one has an exponent of 1. My highest degree is that 2, so the overall degree of this polynomial would be 2. And then in the last one, my only exponent, because my only variable, would be that 1 on that v. And since the highest degree is a 1, then the degree of my polynomial is 1. And that's our lesson for today. Thank you for tuning in. I hope that you're enjoying time with your family. I miss y'all. I'm praying for y'all. Tune in tomorrow. We'll be doing some FOIL tomorrow and just doing some review. We'll get into some new stuff by the end of the week. I love y'all. I miss y'all. Take care. Bye-bye.